Drink it in, man.
Deep left side, Kerryon picks on the block at the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what's going on, everybody? Wednesday in the house, talking Detroit Lions here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Another tough game for our football team, but we're here like we are all the time, twice a week talking Lions, fantasy football. Soon enough, we'll be talking draft. I got some exciting things on the horizon. Always good things going on here at the Koolaid Cast, and one of those things is the one and only Grifka. Grifka's in the building. Grifka, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Same. Gosh, that was a tough game to watch, man. It just really was. So let's not bemoan it. All the Lions fans saw it. So let's hop into some good stuff here first before we dissect that game.
Yeah, Lions, Vikings traveling up to Minnesota. We'll get to that. A couple news and notes off the top. Grifka, I don't think we hit on this, and I'm just curious your thoughts. There's a certain guy that recently came back to the team. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Carry on my wayward son.
Kerryon Johnson, man. This guy's just been kind of a forgotten piece. This is year 2 now where he's missed significant time. You know, people, the minute he got hurt the second time, been looking for another running back, wanting to pair him up with somebody, acting like he's just no good whatsoever. I mean, he came back to the practice field last week. He can come back against the Denver Broncos. What are your thoughts, not only with Kerryon, but he's coming back to practice? Do you want to see him on the field? Like, just kind of talk about number 33 there for a bit.
Yeah, and I know I saw that he started coming back last week, and I know I just did a small touch on it last Friday because I didn't know what the game plan was for him, and it doesn't even seem like they're even releasing a whole lot of information on what they're looking to do with him. I know at one point.
That was a previous episode you talked about Kerryon?
Yeah, last Friday. It was, I just touched on it really quick because I saw that he had come back. So,
all right.
And I was hoping they would. I didn't think they would play him against Minnesota, but like I said, they haven't really released any information. So I guess my thought on this would be like if they were thinking of using him. I mean, just maybe use him like maybe a quarter of the time. I know we had talked about this last year after he was injured, and if they were, we always thought all snaps could only help him in the long run, but I don't think if they were going to bring him back and play him at this year, that give him his amount of carries and touches that he had early in the year. Maybe just like a quarter of those. If you're planning on having this guy be one of your major players in the long run, and like I said, that's 2, I don't want to say major injuries. I don't think they're major, but they're 2 significant injuries, in his first 2 years in the league. You just got to be really careful with him at this point. Even at practice, you always hear those odd things like, oh, this guy got dinged up at practice and he's not going to be, you hear that stuff all the time. So, I mean, any amount of playing time, I would like to see him, but really kind of scale it back, maybe a quarter of the touches that you're planning on using that you were using him for.
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on
Carry on my wayward son.
I mean, this was a guy that I, latched on too early. I thought he passed the eye test pretty quick. The Lions kind of in a surprising move just, booted CJ Anderson pretty quick within this year and went really bare bones at running back. Some people thought, wow, they said all offseason they weren't going to make Kerryon kind of a workhorse. They're going to kind of, spread carries, and they wanted to have multiple running backs, and then they completely did the opposite, basically. Kerryon goes down. Like I said, a lot of people have written this guy off. I still think he's a really good football player, above average. I mean, I'm I'm debating now if he's the guy, but I also don't want to just say, oh, I got to put another big resource, even though part of me wants to go draft another great running back to make a great combo and put this to bed that we can't run the football. But I think if you added a complementary piece as well as get this guy right, and injuries, sometimes there's fluke things. So, I want people to remember how good he was when he was up and rolling. Everybody can be frustrated with he's hurt. He's come back to practice. I know everybody is sitting there going, oh, well, why would you put him out there? I mean, I think it was on Twitter a few weeks ago. I said, this is NFL football. Like, you can't put everybody in bubble wrap just because your season isn't going according to plan. Oh, well, we want to have the great draft pick. Oh, we don't want get anybody hurt. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to roll 47, 53 guys out there. So, I'm not a guy that's just shelf everybody. Hey, just get him a great offseason. I mean, you get hurt in the final game of the year, the first game of the year. I think all that stuff is pretty random, and the NFL's a pretty rough game. So if they're healthy, if they can play, for the most part, there are circumstances, probably with our quarterback, or maybe you do want to hold him out and be smart about it. But I feel like if Kerryon can go against Denver and we feel like we want to get him out there and again see what he has and see if he picks up, where he left off last year against the Patriots, the Dolphins, whoever, I think it's important. So, like I say, if I were fans out there, I would not write him off. I would not say that this guy can't be the lead back. And I don't say bubble wrap him. I say, if he's ready, go. He is wearing this huge knee brace, which to me is a big concern. Just I saw him back at practice, and under the sweats they wear, you can just see this massive knee brace. So, I mean, if he's still got some lingering issues, then yeah, maybe you hold him out. But like I say, Kerryon's still my guy. I had soured a bit, sort of frustrated that he's missing. It's not just a few games here or there. This is last year was probably 7-8 games in the year. Here we are, went out in the first couple weeks. Here we are in week 15. Haven't seen him at all. So it's just been frustrating with him, but hopes are still there, and I wouldn't mind seeing him. That's my Grifka-esque long-winded take on Kerryon Johnson.
Just to follow up on that, I'm reading people. It's like, yo, he's done, cut him. And it's just and I can't understand why people are saying that already. It's just even when he's playing, he's being productive. I think defenses
somewhat. You didn't see it this year in his limited action, but I mean, if he'd have played the last 12 games, I guarantee you'd have seen some big ball games and some plays from him. But like you say, people they didn't see it in the first couple games, and they haven't seen him since. So
yeah, it's just those things where he is showing flashes. I mean, especially in his rookie year. I mean, he's going to be here at least through his rookie contract. I mean, unless a major injury where he can't go, that's the only way he's not going to play through his rookie contract year. So I think fans out there calling, it's oh, just cut him now. I know it's one of those things he doesn't make. He doesn't make a whole lot of money. So why would you just, kick him to the curb? That doesn't make any sense at all. That's just dumb. No sense. And I was actually, this is how crazy some of my dynasty fantasy football gets. I literally have to Google at times these players' ages because I'm literally comparing ages to other players I have. I want to keep them. I think Kerryon Johnson in June or something turns 23 years old, I want to say. I mean, this is he has the size, the speed, the thump sort of that you look for. He can catch it. I mean, yeah, anybody that would be just saying get rid of him doesn't understand team building. Real quick before we move on, Grifka, I think I sort of told you my opinion on this, or I told a few other people, but I'm curious with you. So he's been hurt 2 years. You've seen some glimpses. He hasn't, toppled over that 1,000 yards. He obviously hasn't got those big touchdown numbers you would hope for from a really top end running back. Are you pairing Kerryon Johnson with another top free agent, a draft pick, or are you going into 2020 just saying, I'll take Kerryon and some complementary type pieces and roll out again and hope that it works that time? I would probably look for somebody in the draft. I don't know if, depending on where the Lions end up picking, I don't know if I want to spend a first rounder on it. Second or third, you can still get some good backs there. I'm not for sure who's out there in the running back for crowd for free agents. I think what they did with C.J. Anderson this year. It might leave a sour taste in people's mouths, like, oh, he's, washed up. He had C.J. Anderson had a nice stint with the Rams, but I think we saw the Oakland Raiders C.J. Anderson. That's why they got rid of him. So I would look more of a draft pick. I don't think you can go with Kerryon hoping he stays healthy all year, and then you're looking at the scrap heap for it. You can get lucky maybe with a Bo Scarborough. I mean, he's been a pleasant surprise since they've signed him, but I don't think you can guarantee Kerryon's going to play, 3/4 of next year with the way he's been. So you got to pair him with somebody, and I would probably go with a young back, because if he does have another significant injury, maybe you can use that young back as, the bell cow that you're looking for.
Yeah, I don't mind it. We'll talk about draft, as we get forward, but when you take a top 3 round running back, you're basically, giving Bo Scarborough no carries in 2020 or very limited. You're limiting what Kerryon can do, what his ceiling is. So that's where I talk about the replacing a piece for a piece. I mean, my brain is turning on could Bo and KJ be a combo? I really would. That's kind of why I want to see him back too in Denver in the final game. Is I'd love to see him together and see what they could do. But it'll be curious to see. We could chat about it all day. Grifka, the other news and notes I got off the top here. Marvin Jones announced right before we kind of started recording here that he's going to be IR'd as well. I think I wrote a few friends and just said, man, we're just IRing people like they're dropping like flies. I mean, again, it makes a lot of the fan base happy because they're like, oh, if he's hurt a little bit, get him out so we can just lose the rest of the games. But if you look at the draft, it's basically Cincy, the Giants, Washington, Miami, and us. So unless you see, Miami or Washington putting together a couple dubs, you're going to be sitting there regardless at probably number 5. So, I don't know that losing out is going to get you up where people want to get to number 2 to get Chase Young. Any thoughts on losing another top playmaker? I mean, it just feels like, it's just not NFL football that we're watching here in Detroit with the limited skill players and people that we're putting out on the field every Sunday.
Yeah, this might be one of those cases where if the Lions were in the hunt for something, Marvin Jones would be playing, but as opposed to making this, worse situation with his injury, it's like, okay, just put him on an IR and use somebody off the practice squad, or I guess kind of save him from next year or something like that. So that's pretty much how I feel with this. Is it didn't look anything like really bad happened to him in the Minnesota game. So this is just one of those things. I think if the Lions were in the hunt, he would be on the field.
Griffey, here's a follow-up for you. So again, on this show, we have some battles, and I do try to put in a good amount of work on the side. Some of it you know about or see, some of it you don't, as far as figuring out NFL roster building, salaries, draft, free agency, all that stuff that I really enjoy. The thing I can't wrap my head around is, so like they IR a guy like Marvin Jones, like you said, maybe just somewhat minor, but not able to come back. They tuck him away. It seems like every time they do this, they very rarely go out or they even elevate a guy that, is a rookie you'd like to see. I don't know, like Travis Fulgham. They bring in some defensive tackle from Miami's practice squad that, like, I haven't done any, like, homework on. But they always seem like they're bringing in these no-name tight ends I never heard about. We joked about that before on the show. They're bringing in every corner under the sun that never sees the roster. I'll never understand the NFL GM of IRing a guy and not just bringing up what seems obvious. Like, okay, if you're going to put Marvin down, bring Fulgham up so we can see if we have anything there. I mean, you took him in the 6th round pick. I mean, you're not paying him any money. He showed flashes in preseason. And instead you bring in like your 6th defensive tackle from some other practice squad. I mean, you think he's going to get up to speed in a couple games and do anything? Like, that blows my mind. Are you with me on that or what?
Yeah, I completely understand that. It seems like, you talk about fantasy sports. If you lose like a wide receiver on your fantasy team, it's just like, well, okay, I'm going to pick up a tight end just to throw him in there. It's like, wouldn't you bring up another wide receiver? Isn't your team a wide receiver short now? So it's one thing I really can't understand either. It's just, it's getting late in the year. Maybe it's one of those things like, okay, we just want somebody else for the rotation. I don't know, but they're down Hawkinson, and what they brought up Nauta. It doesn't seem like he's played a whole lot of tight end. It seems like they've used him more at that fullback position, or that that H back, the old Frank Wycheck type play. So, yeah, I can't understand that, why you would pick up somebody who's just been kind of on another team's practice squad, or even like out on the street, and you bring on a Tuesday or Wednesday to try out, and you sign them and throw them on the roster. So that never made an ounce of sense to me either.
So you basically agree with me?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, because me and you are eye to eye on that thing. I just, that was one of those things like, we put a wide receiver on there, but here we go, we're gonna bring in this punter. Okay, what good is that?
And sometimes it's like you can see that, maybe it's special teams, maybe it's these other things that we don't pay as much of attention to. I mean, I don't know if you know, Grifka, but special teams is a third of the game. It's really important.
Yes,
but we're just bringing in, like I say, nobodies. We cut them, we bring them in, we cut them. It's like, I don't understand why this guy wouldn't be coming up. And like you say, Nauta, he's been out there, but he doesn't really do anything. I think it was like Michael Harris. Somebody's like, hey, Isaac Nauta's the third tight end maybe next year. I've liked what he's done. I'm like, what has he done? He hasn't done anything. He's just sort of been out there. I think he saw one football, and then he's sort of been in on a few plays here or there. And he acted like he had some stellar game, or he jumped off the tape. I was just like, oh my gosh, what are you watching? I do want to throw this in too. I meant to throw it in a couple minutes ago. My new Grifka catchphrase, which is going to be getting one of these, is the Grifka, I'm not quite for sure. That's like a classic now. And you don't really realize it, but I know the people out there hear the Grifka, I'm not quite for sure, which just makes me laugh, and is going to definitely deem one of these. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, we got some other things we could talk about on Friday, but between Kerryon, Marv going on IR, and like they felt like they were bringing up young guys. Like, hey, let's get a look at these guys. I mean, me and Hughes were doing some work on rookie or draft stuff for 2020, as well as I was looking at these rookie contracts. And I think Travis Fulgham is like 4 years, $2 million, like total. I mean, PJ Johnson, who we got rid of, is like 4 years, $2 million. It's like no money. So that's what pisses me off when these late guys get no run or just get let go. It's like, that's a lottery ticket right there. That's a 4-year player that you have on no money. And you just brought him in for a look. Oh, we thought he could back up snacks, or they have some random idea for him, and then he's gone. It's like, I know it's hard to hit home runs in the 7th round, but just get us some players that can make the team, or that now could be on your practice squad. Hey, bring them up for 4 or 5 games, get a look, and in a season like this, and then if you get rid of them in the off season, no big deal. But yeah, like I would love a GM to sit me down and say, like, hey, this is why they're bringing in this guy, or this is what they see in this guy off the street that's not even a position of need that we bring in when they get rid of a star player. It seems odd to me. So
yeah,
that's what I got off the top, man. Let's take a break for the sponsors. We'll come back, and man, I would love to say we have tons of great things to talk about Detroit versus Minnesota, but I remember just sitting there during this game doing some work for PFF and some other things, and I just thought, like, there's just nothing going on in this game that gets me going. It's just another game going through the motions, making some bad mistakes here or there. It's like, I just can't wait to flip the calendar over to next year, because this is, like I said, this isn't NFL football, and the fans deserve better. The team, I think, is better than this, but man, it's been rough. So Grifka, take that pause for the cause, and we'll be right back. Talk all about it.
Welcome to the Flash Finds Podcast, the world's fastest podcast where we explore how Facebook can help you with the stuff you're into. I'm your host, Emma Rogue, and today I'm with creator and home decor guru, Julie Souza. Julie, what's your number one tip?
So if you're into home decor, I would suggest looking into Buy Nothing Facebook groups. It's a great way to explore your style, all for free.
Ooh, we love free stuff. Thanks, Julie. See you next time on the Flash Finds Podcast, all about discovering the stuff on Facebook you care about. Bye.
Want to be more active this summer? Sierra helps you save on everything from swimsuits to stand-up paddleboards, tennis rackets to fishing tackle. And if that doesn't float your boat, we also have pool floats. Sierra, let's get moving to your local store, like now. Go!
All right, everybody, back here in the house. The Detroit Lions head up to Minnesota to play the Minnesota Vikings. And Grifka, it was what my man LeVar Ball said. It was an automatic loss. Never lost, never won with the blue pants. Because if we didn't talk about the terrible not wearing the throwbacks, wearing the terrible gray jerseys, this is like the third or fourth time I've seen the aqua pants. So I knew it was an automatic loss from there. I knew we were outmanned across the board. It played out pretty much how I thought it would. Get us kicked off. Like, what were your takes, or let's start talking about this game.
Yeah, this was a game. It's just, early in the season, you're always kind of excited for Sunday to roll around. You're watching the pre-games, and you can't wait for 1 o'clock. This was like one of those games like, okay, is it 1 o'clock almost time? Let's just kind of see what's going to happen here. And I was really waiting just for like something big positive to happen. I want to see Blau again. And I don't think they pared down the offense for him, but I think that Minnesota's defense just did some stuff that kind of confused him, because he looked like a rookie quarterback in there. I mean, there was times I swear I was shouting at the TV, just going, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. And it's just, I don't know. It was, the defense played pretty good at first, and they stopped them, and then, Minnesota kind of figured them out. And I think Minnesota, I don't want to say came into this game overconfident, but it seemed like at one point they just knew they could throw their helmets on and, win this game if they wanted to. And that's kind of what it seemed right from the, probably about, the third drive in the first half for Minnesota. So,
Griffco, before we get into this game, I got to throw this at you. I think you have some man love for David Blau, and here's why. On Twitter, this actually became funnier to me after I did it. So I was watching David Blau's like post-game presser. And I'm like, this dude's got some crazy, weird eyebrows. They were like, there's some people that have thick eyebrows, but he had his that looked like they were just shaped funny, and I couldn't stop looking at him. I'm like, isn't there like some cartoon character that's some crazy eyebrows? So of course I wasted some of my very precious time and Googled it. Sure enough, David Blau is freaking Count Chocula, man. I looked over like 3 or 4 pictures, and I put this one up on Twitter with David Blau and Count Chocula right next to him. And I was like, oh, that'll be kind of funny. I'll put it up there and just let the people kind of respond to it. I swear, if you go back and look at this tweet, the more that you look at Count Chocula's face, his face, everything except for like the embellished crazy nose, is freaking David Blau. The face looks just like him. The eyebrows are crazy like him. So people are responding. People are like, oh, he's Count Chocula forever. Like, they're just loving it. And then you come with your first half positive tweet ever, coming to this guy's defense, telling me about, he just kind of had some rookie mistakes. He needs some more time. I mean, I like David Blau's like character. He seems like a great dude. He shows a few things on the football field, but I mean, this isn't a guy I'm backing up to the high heavens. I mean, if I allow him to be a clipboard holder next year, he should be fortunate here with the Detroit Lions. But you seem to have a little man love, a little take, and you should probably tell the people more about this, because I want to know why you not only want to watch this guy, but why you seem overly high on him, which you never are.
I think he's got a pretty good arm. I mean, he's not a scrambler. He's not he's not Randall Cunningham or anything like that, but he does have a little bit of movement. I think he's better than Jeff Driscoll. It's just one of those things, like he's kind of like that quarterback that we always talking about, that big, strong pocket passer. And I think he would fit okay in the system. I mean, the biggest thing is he's just got to be smart enough to pick up on the playbook. That's where a lot of people just want to end up seeing, like, if your starting quarterback's not doing very well, it's like, throw the backup in there. And I mentioned this, prior, guys like, that have played, that were career backups, like Todd Collins. He had so many years in the NFL, and I think he started 5 games, but he was in the NFL for like 10 years. Doug Peterson, he never played because he was Brett Favre's back. It's like one of those things, like the guy was obviously a free agent at some point, but nobody ever wanted to sign him. But I think that Blau, I mean, just watching him at Purdue, it's just they ran, kind of like a pass happy offense there when he was there. I think he can sling the ball around. It's just one of those things, like I said in the game against Minnesota, if he just got more snaps, I mean, I think he's just used to seeing those college windows, which were bigger. And there was points where he was just afraid to throw the ball because the window was tighter, where Stafford's going to give his guy an opportunity. And they even mentioned it, Chris Spielman even mentioned it during the game, that Detroit's wide receivers were bigger and stronger than Minnesota's cornerbacks. And, he's like, just go up there and give him a chance. And it just didn't seem like Blau did that. So, like I said, if he just got some more snaps, he can go out there and sling it around. I'm not saying he's going to go, be Tony Romo or anything like that, but he could be a fine backup for the team. I don't know. Sean Hill-esque that everybody was always calling for, getting Sean Hill in there, but I think he's better than Jeff Driscoll.
All right. Well, I thought it was humorous that your first half supportive, positive tweets, you come into Count Chocula's defense while I was having a little bit of fun and acting like, just give this guy some time, Oakley. I'm like, he's David Blau. I mean, I don't mind him maybe as a backup quarterback, but I'm not tuning in on Sundays excited to see him. I'm just dealing with him and looking at his numbers. We'll get to that here in a bit. It was not pretty on Sunday, so it was a nice story early on Turkey Day, but it's getting already a little bit old with me. But everybody check out that tweet at Derek Oakley about Count Chocula.
Yeah, but I also really like Count Chocula. I always pick up a few boxes of those from Meyer around Halloween when they bring out the Halloween cereal, the Boo Berry and the Frankenberry. No way, man. It's like I might pick up a box of those. I'm always grabbing 3 or 4 boxes of Count Chocula. I love that stuff.
Griff, could do me a favor at some point during this week. Go back and look again at that tweet and just look at the facial features of Chocula and Blau, and then look at the eyebrows. I mean, it's actually scary because I didn't even mean to, but like literally when I started, the face is much more like it than you would even think as we're talking right now. So anyway, people had fun with that. Grifka loves him some David Blau. Let's get to this game. Grifka, I want to blow through this, get us to halftime quickly. So let me just tell you my quick bullet point notes. Early on, the first time David Blau, Count Chocula, hiked the football, he got 2 balls knocked down and got sacked. And everybody in Detroit either turned their TV off or knew this was a long day. Then soon after that, another reason to turn your TV off. This guy, I don't know if you've heard of him. He seems to kill the Lions, but nobody else in the NFL has any clue who he is. His name is B.C. Johnson, Grifka. Yeah, exactly. B.C. Johnson. No clue. He scores a touchdown on us. I have here random odd helmet-to-helmet calls on Jelani Tavai. I don't know if I should be mad at Tavai or the refs or both, but that was odd. The Vikings going play action all day. I mean, how many times can you fake it to the running back and then throw it down the field? Kirk Cousins. I hate the zone defense, Grifka. It just seems like we have guys playing areas, and then guys will run right in front of their face past the sticks, and we'll just stay in our area, and they throw a ball that I could complete right to them for first downs. It's ridiculous. Coleman, our big $9 million corner, is absolutely garbage right now. I don't know what his problem is, and his numbers are ridiculous. I think somebody put him out like yards against. He's at like 600, and the next closest is in the 400s. So he's just been getting toasted and roasted like your boy Windsock all day. I've got here that we did a 3rd and 1 up the middle like we always do. Ugh. That got stopped. We had a punt. And then where I want to pass it to you to give either your bullets or your thoughts, 1 minute, 10 seconds left. Count Chocula rolls out. He has easy throwaway. Instead, he keeps the football. He gets sacked for a 12-yard loss. Matt Prater comes in and hits a knuckle puck that moved at least 4 times and went wide with a kick. And then the Vikings just move down the field with less than a minute left and score an easy touchdown. Dalvin Cook. The minute they pitched it to Dalvin Cook, you might as well just chalk it up because he was walking in untouched. You could tell right from the get-go that we didn't have our lanes. We didn't have anybody coming up with any thump, and it was just embarrassing to watch. So that's basically my first half right there. 17 zip at half when it could have been 10-3. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one play you described where Blau took the sack, that was one where I know I was definitely going, throw the ball. And he just kind of kept dropping back and back and back. And, that was more annoying than anything to watch. But, then, I don't know, Prater just, that thing was terrible. It kind of looked like the kick in Washington where it just kind of like took a right turn out of nowhere. And it was just, So that was frustrating. And then I guess you got to hand it to, everybody's going to talking about that pass Kirk Cousins made to Stephon Diggs down the field for 40 yards. But, I mean, yeah, it was a good pass, but that was a better catch by Diggs. I mean, he made a nice adjustment on it. Slay, I'm reading a lot of people just burning Slay on that. It's like, oh, come in and break. It's like one of those plays where you always say, like, he's in his back pocket, which he was. I mean, that thing almost went through Diggs' hands, but he made a nice play, making that catch. Diggs had a day. So,
Grifka, I hate to interrupt you, but I know you shook his hand. Like, I know you're going to stick up for him regardless. Here's the issue everybody has with Darius Slay, not only on this play, but in general. Darius Slay, I went back and I watched, that portion of the game. There was 30 seconds left and they were at midfield. How are you letting a guy get 2-3 steps on you, even though Darius Slay, he pushed off, but it was a good catch. How is this guy behind you at this point? Like, you can play softer coverage, or anything over the top of you is the thing you don't want at this point. We would even give up a field goal, not the biggest worry, but to give up this 50, I think it was probably a 40-some yard ball, put him right inside the 5-10 yard line. That's what's inexcusable. And then Darius Slay's attitude, your boy. I mean, this guy, he's a pretty good player, but his interviews after, I'm just happy that the check comes on Thursdays, all this talk. I don't worry about it. Like, I just come in and do the best I can. Like, it's getting kind of tired, man. It's funny when we're winning. It's funny when he's making game-ending picks, and it kind of is wearing on me of just this guy. Like, I don't think he loves football. I think he's pretty good at a cover corner, but I don't know. It's just getting to the point. Like, he's probably a great guy at heart, but I feel like it's coming off bad to the fan base, as well as, good catch by him. It's like, no, there's no Like, why is the guy beating you for 40 yards when there's no time on the clock and the team's, on the other side of the 50? Like, that's the inexcusable part. I don't care if you were close in coverage. I don't care if if the guy pushed you, whatever. Like, he shouldn't be running past you. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know Diggs is fast, and it might be one of those things where, you often hear say, like the one cliche everybody uses, like playing for pride. This could be one of those things. The other cliche you always hear about, playing out the string. It's just one of those things. You're out there playing because you're not, dinged up enough to be scratched. And, you're just kind of wanting to go out there and not, get too injured. And you're going out there just playing out the string. Like you said, check shows up, when you walk in Allen Park on Tuesday, you go over to the cashier. It's like, here, you sign your name. Here's your check. There you go. So, yeah.
Is that the kind of players you want on your team, Grifka? I mean, I know you love this guy. I know he's just can't do any wrong, but like, have you ever listened to one of his recent interviews? I mean, he's throwing coaching staff under the bus in a discreet way. They always ask him, hey, is it hard to play the season? No, I don't even worry about it. Like, I just do the best I can, just trying to be out there. It's like, I mean, again, I don't hate the guy, but I'm just saying, some of his act to me is getting a little bit tired, or a little bit like, you don't want, 30, 40 other guys that act like that. And I'm sure it somewhat rubs off,
Yeah, this might be one of those things you hear guys say from like reports on other teams, other players, he's talking his way out of town. Maybe that's what he wants. The same thing, kind of what, people were saying about Sue, when he was here, he was like kind of saying stuff like that, or like what his sister was out on Twitter or social media saying stuff like that. And people like, oh, he's just talking his way out of town, and right. I mean, maybe that could be it. And it's not a contract year. So it's not like one of those things where you always hear those things, contract years, guys are going to step a game up because they want to get paid. He got paid a little bit, so maybe he's,
like the long and short of it is, like, I can see him going to another organization that's winning and him just being the funniest guy in the room, above average. Again, I'm hesitant to put him in that top 10 because I know he has his nickname, but he doesn't have a ton of scoring plays. He had the one big year with a bunch of turnovers. Other than that, it's a few here or there. He says he doesn't get thrown at now, which I'm sure year after year is a little bit more true, that he doesn't get as many looks as he did early in his career. But I just see him going somewhere else and being like a above average to really good corner and being really fun in the locker room. But I feel like maybe it's just not working here anymore based on what he makes, his attitude, and if they're not going to pair him with anybody, he can't guard both people, so he should never be getting burned, and all the other rest of our guys are getting roasted. So it's just tough. I urge you to go check him out on YouTube or something, listen to some of his stuff, and then see if you'd back him as much, because it's turned. I mean, some people in the media still love him because he's good for a quote, but I don't know. It is what it is. So you got more stuff. I interrupted you there. You got more stuff on the first half, or you want to move to the second half?
I guess just to end it, I mean, I was actually feeling a little good if I'm like, okay, 10-0, stuff could happen, for the way the defense had played. Minnesota had seemed to be marching the ball pretty good here and there, but the Lions, it's 10 points is still very, very within reach with the team. And then, like you said, once they went down, 17-0, I think pretty much all the air went out of my balloon with that game.
I'm right there with you. Like my thing was, not only you could say 10-0, it should have been 10-3. And even when we missed that field goal, a good football team, there's only 50 seconds left, or they'd go down and stop them and just keep it at 10-0. And to go and give up a walk-in touchdown not only was deflating just from the fact that they just roved the field on you with less than a minute. They threw one up over the top against your best, cover corner. I mean, these are the type of swings I talk about that, are a little play here or there that if you make it, hey, I wouldn't mind going in the locker room 10-3 against the Minnesota Vikings on the road with a totally depleted, offense and defense, when you're talking about the Detroit Lions. But to go in 17-0, I mean, was not good. And then they came out the locker room and made a few stops too, and they just could not get anything going offensively. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just, again, it's injuries. It's just there's not enough playmakers, even though the offense, like you said it before, has showed some things still. And the defense actually was getting some decent plays, not only early, but also in the second half. And it still didn't matter because, I mean, it's basically 20-0 late in this football game.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if shutouts, really matter to like a team was losing that game. I know no team wants to get shut out, and I guess I got to hand it to him for actually, trying to go for that touchdown as opposed to just trying the field goal, praying out there and getting 3 points on. At least they went for it and they scored the touchdown late in the game to Golladay. So, I have to hand it to him for that.
And my thing is, you can always find these little glimpses, because if you just take that throw and that play in a bubble, not only was it gutsy to go for it, I mean, not gutsy because of the situation, but just kind of like, what you want to see is like in that type of situation. Yeah, you don't want to kick a field goal and look wimpy that you're just trying to get on the board. So they went for it. That throw back shoulder was great. The route by Kenny Golladay, you go back and watch, he sort of got on top of the guy and shielded him and looked for the ball on the backside, made a good adjustment, made the catch. I mean, if you just take that, you're like, hey, that's not bad. Even getting down in that position, they made a few plays, but to me, it was kind of just the too little, too late. We all know about onside kicks in the NFL. You knew that wasn't going to, come to fruition, even though they can't remember what they did. I think they did a high bouncer, but we had nobody in the area. So I know we're skipping right to the end, but like to me, there wasn't much to talk about in the second half. Like a few stops by the defense, a lot of no offense from the Lions, and then a little late touchdown, and then that was basically it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I think it was one of those things more like I said, Minnesota knew whenever they wanted to, they could kind of turn on the offense. They seemed to go a little more conservative with their offense in the second half. And it just seemed, like you said, like the offense just could not get going, So, it was kind of, like you said, a disappointment with like the Thanksgiving, the way Blau looked on Thanksgiving, back to what, looking to that undrafted rookie quarterback at that.
So one of my buddies, Wagner, he got at me and he was like, Oakley, I'm done with Matt Patricia. Like, I've seen enough. The defense has regressed. He's just going on. And I was like, I think I gave him my normal, like, all right, let me tell you the players that I have confidence in. So I ran down a list of, I started on the offensive side of the ball. Stafford, Kerryon, Golladay, Hawk, Frank Ragnow. And I went to the defensive side of the ball. It's kind of like Slay, Snacks, Hand, Flowers. I probably threw like a half and half on JD and Tobias. Like you at least got a ball player between the two of them. You got to figure out how to use them. And then I threw in, Tracy's my guy. So it's like I threw out, some pieces there that not only can you build around, but if they're up and rolling, you're kind of like, if you add to that, it's not like they're devoid of talent on both or one side of the football completely. Everybody's so upset with this defense. So we'll probably get into it on Friday, Grifka. But my thought was just everybody is going crazy about how the season has been. They're deeming it like this roster has no ball players. They're deeming it like the coach has never won a game his whole life or has never drawn up a defense. And like, I don't know. Let's talk about it on Friday about this whole notion of you are what your record says you are. Because to me, I got lots of thoughts on that. And I feel like, I'm not going to come on Friday or the rest of the season and say, hey, look, everybody, what a great year we had. Look at all these amazing moments. But the NFL, can flip quick. And I do feel like I just named off about 10 plus players on both sides of the ball. So you got about 5-6 ball players on both sides. You obviously need, more like that 7-8, and then you're always going to have a couple real questionable pieces. But I really don't think they're that far away from talent. I feel like you can blame the coach, but I guarantee you Matt Pat is coaching the right things. He's saying the right things. It's just not happening on Sundays. I mean, they can't guard people. They can't stop people. They can't turn the football over. They can't score touchdowns, and they can't get themselves going. Like I said, they don't have enough dogs to play physical right now. They just have a couple that are out there busting their hump and a couple people that are going through the motions. So that's my quick synopsis of what I'm seeing. And like I said, I'd like to dive into it more on our other show if we can.
Yeah, because I saw that on Twitter, and I really want to touch base with you on that. So I'm glad we're going to carve some time out for Friday's show just to touch base on that.
Yeah. You got anything else big, Grifka? Like, to me, that was the ball game. I mean, basically, 20-7 Vikings. There may be nothing to it, but the fact that this was like a 13.5, or I think it maybe went down to 12.5 since I hear these Vegas scores. To me, there's always something funky going on, Griff. There's no way that people should be able to like guess ahead of time that an NFL football game is going to be a 13.5 point game and it ends up being a 13-point game. like that's just crazy to me how that shakes out. But that late touchdown, basically brought. I don't know if it was within the spread, without, doesn't matter to me. But I just always think those are weird how they can pinpoint stuff like that, because I know it's their job and they're experts to some degree, but NFL is pretty random, and for them to get some of these scores the way they do. But, real quick before we get out of here, Count Chocula, 20 for 40, 205, 1 touch, 2 picks. I mean, that's terrible however you slice it. Your boy Kirk Cousins, Grifka, I know you say he's not
that great.
Well, his numbers may be otherwise, because he was 24 out of 30, 242, 1 touchdown. And like you said, took the pedal off the metal there. To me, Bo Scarborough, I remember halfway through this game going, Bo Scarborough is our best player. I mean, I love me some Kenny Golladay. And I guess if you really break it down, he's the best offensive skill player. But when Bo runs it, to me, he's like the only thing I enjoy watching these last bunch of games, because he falls forward, he runs. I even wrote on my notes that he missed a few runs early where there was actually some decent holes, and he sort of just got 6, 7, 8 yards, where I would have liked to see him turn it up and get 15 or more. But Bo Scarborough has been a bright spot, another 19 for 65. I mean, not a great yards per carry, but just the way he ran it, I liked. Kenny really didn't do anything till late in the football game, but ended up with 6 for 58 and a touchdown. And, like I say, the Vikings just sort of, Dalvin Cook barely, into the second half, and he went 18 for 62, and a TD would have had probably definitely 100 and a couple scores, if they needed him to. And Diggs kind of just did a pedestrian day as well, 92 yards. So those are kind of the stats. I mean, again, two Did the Lions have 2 turnovers? It says 2 turnovers here. Or is that Detroit turned it over twice?
I think Detroit turned it over twice.
Okay, that makes more sense because a big goose egg again here for the Lions turning the football over. I mean, I guess to turn it over, you'd actually have to be tight coverage or actually sack somebody or actually get after it a little bit. They almost put up 400 total yards. They had the football a lot longer than we did. I mean, first downs, somewhat close, but yeah, all the stats tilted towards the Vikings. And like that late touchdown was just what it was. So pretty tough football game across the board. But like you say, just trying to get through it. I still have high hopes moving forward, especially in 2020. But I'm having a struggle sort of getting through these last couple because there's not much to watch. And like you said, didn't have that NFL feel, not only before the game, but once it got kicked off. I was kind of there, but I can't say I was anywhere as fired up as I'd love to be right here in December watching our Detroit Lions.
Yeah, but what I would love if, David Blau, if you're listening, man, please call us, at 989-272-3484. Once again, 989-272-3484. I would love to talk to you about the game. And, like you said, you got a little bit of a fan right here. I do love Count Chocula. I realize, that you might form your eyebrows based on him, but I promise if you call in, I won't call you Count Chocula. Can't speak for Derek, but I won't.
Just wait until you go back and look at the picture, Griff. It's gonna freak you out. You're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I had no idea. It's freaky. But anyway, everybody, you know what we got to do before we get up out of here. The question that just sweeps the nation every week, right about this time. Grifka, you got anything else for the people?
Nope.
Oh man, tough loss, tough season. We're gonna have some fun on Friday though, some debates, probably some rants, and we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming in here. I hear their quarterback's got a broken thumb. Mike Evans isn't gonna play. They're at home, We'll see. We'll see what our predictions are, but it'd be kind of nice if the Lions went and put up 40 points or 30 points and just ran away with it. I think it's going to be another tough game, though, to get a W. But we'll talk all about it on Friday right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.